Some leaders shout to be heard, others say nothing, yet the world listens. From historical tyrants to modern titans like Elon Musk, silence shaped obedience. But why? Why are we compelled by those who barely speak? This isn't just history, this is psychology. This is the power of silence. Hitler rarely raised his voice, yet millions moved to his unspoken will. He didn't need to scream. The people silenced themselves. Stalin was a man of few words, but when he entered the room, everything froze. His silence created paranoia. It wasn't just presence. It was the terrifying weight of what wasn't said. His silence didn't just command rooms, it controlled minds. Mao mastered the pause, a leader who weaponized absence. He didn't dominate by speaking. He dominated by being quietly expected. People feared not his words, but the silence before the sentence. These men didn't rule through noise. They ruled through the crushing weight of expectation. And expectation is a silent sovereign. In the modern theater of power, the boardroom, silence speaks louder than any command. Tim Cook holds the floor, not by dominating it, but by yielding it. His pauses draw attention. His stillness commands it. Jeff Bezos built an empire, not by shouting orders, but by letting data whisper louder than directives. His presence, calm, calculated, is often louder than words. And then there's Elon Musk. In high-stakes negotiations, he doesn't argue. He doesn't interrupt. He just waits, staring, watching, letting silence do the work. Silence in these rooms isn't absence. It's tension. It's pressure. It's power, condensed. The person who breaks the silence often reveals more than they mean to. They expose their need, their fear, their impulse to control. And the one who watches in silence wins. We assume the loudest person is in charge. But in rooms where empires are forged, where billions are at stake, the quietest one, the still one, is often writing the unspoken script. Words can be challenged. Silence cannot. Noise seeks attention. Silence already has it. The Stanford prison experiment wasn't just disturbing, it was revealing. When ordinary people were given power, it wasn't the loudest who became the most feared. It was the quiet ones, the ones who watched, the ones who waited. They didn't yell. They didn't threaten. They controlled through presence and silence. And the silence was deafening. In Milgram's obedience studies, there was no shouting, no threats, only a white lab coat, a calm voice, and silence. That silence made people press buttons they swore they never would, not because they were forced, but because they believed in the system, in the role, in the illusion of authority. Silence didn't demand obedience. It invited it. It made disobedience feel unnatural, unthinkable. Psychological control doesn't require volume. It requires belief, and belief thrives in silence. Silence is not a void. It's a medium, a channel through which fear travels, doubt multiplies, and power settles. Noticed. It is in silence that the mind surrenders and the will dissolves. The chilling Stanford prison experiment revealed a stark truth. Power didn't always shout. It often emerged from unnerving silence. The quietest guards, those who simply watched, became the most feared. Milgram's obedience studies? They didn't rely on raised voices. They relied on presence, on the white lab coat, the unshaken tone, the silence that filled the room. Silence doesn't demand obedience. It breeds it, not with commands, but with belief. And belief grows best in silence. Silence doesn't need to raise its voice to dominate. It lingers. It waits. It fills the space where questions echo and answers disappear. In psychological experiments, subjects obeyed, not because they were told to, but because the silence made them feel watched, judged, alone. Silence made resistance feel irrational, rebellion, shameful. It became easier to follow orders than to question them out loud. Because the moment you speak, you break the illusion, and the illusion is what holds the power in place. So maybe the loudest voices aren't powerful. They're just afraid of being ignored. Maybe the shouting is a mask. Maybe the speeches, the slogans, the noise are just ways to drown out a deeper truth. That silence is stronger. Because silence doesn't beg to be heard. It waits. It watches. It weighs. The tyrant doesn't need to scream. The room silences itself. The CEO doesn't need to explain. The room aligns itself. True power doesn't perform. It doesn't announce. It doesn't decorate itself with sound. It just is. Look around. Who are the ones commanding attention? And who are the ones controlling the space without a sound? There is a kind of authority that doesn't need volume, because it lives in presence, in posture, in pause. And when silence enters a room, it does something words never can. It forces you to hear yourself. It reveals what's missing. It reflects what you fear. It presses against your thoughts and dares you to confront them. Maybe that's why silence is so terrifying, not because of what it hides, but because of what it exposes. So ask yourself, are you loud because your message is powerful? Or are you loud because, without the noise, you disappear? Are you silent because you've lost your voice? Or are you silent because you no longer need to speak? There's a difference between being unheard and needing no words. So here's the question. Do you fill the room with sound, or do you shape it with your silence? Do you speak to convince, or do you hold back and let the silence command for you? Because in the end, you heard the noise. You obeyed the silence.